Welcome to this edition of News Today, a series where we briefly discuss and analyze important news of the day. Without delay, take a look at the headlines first. Ministry of Heavy Industries launched Electric Mobility Promotion Scheme EMPS 2024. The Prime Minister paid a state visit to Bhutan. Supreme Court relooks earlier directions and considers lifting ban on transmission lines through Great Indian Bustard habitats. United Nations General Assembly adopted landmark resolution on artificial intelligence. UN World Water Development Report 2024 focused on water for prosperity and peace was released. Global Environment Facility GEF funded financing Agrochemical Reduction and Management or FARM program launched. In the very first news, Ministry of Heavy Industries launched Electric Mobility Promotion Scheme EMPS 2024. MHI has proposed to implement EMPS 2024 after end of tenure of faster adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles FAME2 on 31st March 2024. Let's discuss the key highlights of EMPS 2024. With MHI as its nodal ministry, the aim of EMPS is faster adoption of electric two-wheeler and three-wheeler to provide impetus to green mobility and the development of the electric vehicle manufacturing ecosystem in the country. The tenure of the scheme is 4 months from 1st April 2024 till 31st July 2024. Components of scheme include subsidies, demand incentives for electric two-wheelers and electric three-wheelers, and administration of scheme including IEC, information, education and communication activities, and fee for project management agency. Let's also see the conditions to avail the demand incentives. Firstly, the original equipment manufacturer is required to be registered with MHI, and each of the electric vehicle models will need to be approved by MHI. Additionally, each vehicle model needs to satisfy minimum technical eligibility criteria with regard to vehicle efficiency. In terms of eligibility, vehicles must be registered as motor vehicle as per Central Motor Vehicle rules, and vehicles fitted with only advanced batteries are eligible. Lastly, Project Implementation and Sanctioning Committee headed by Secretary of Heavy Industries is constituted for overall monitoring, sanctioning and implementation of EMPS.
Moving ahead in the news, the Prime Minister paid a state visit to Bhutan. Let's start by first having a look at the key highlights of the visit. Prime Minister of India became the first foreign government leader to receive Bhutan's highest civilian award, Order of the Druk Gyalpo. India will provide Rs 10,000 crore as financial support to Bhutan over next 5 years to bolster cooperation in areas like energy and space. Moreover, there will be the establishment of 2 rail links including Kokrajhar-Gelefu and Banarhat-Samse to improve connectivity. Additionally, both sides look forward to commissioning of the 1020 megawatt Punat Sangchu 2 hydropower project in 2024. There are also some challenges in India-Bhutan relationship. These include issues in hydropower trade, that is, not able to fairly negotiate power tariff. Bhutan also acts as a hideout for militants in the northeast. Moreover, there is an increased financial burden on Bhutan as India moved away from the 60:40 model, which is 60% grant and 40% loan, to the 30:70 model. Additionally, there has been a delay in completion of projects by India. One example is Punat Sangchu 2. Further now, let's discuss and understand the implications of increasing China's role in Bhutan for India. Bhutan-China negotiated Doklam border deal will have security implications for India due to its close proximity to Siliguri corridor. Bhutan's improved relationship with China can impose threat to India's economic and energy trade relationship with Bhutan. Also, its close ties with China can impact traditional pro-India foreign policy of Bhutan.
In another news, Supreme Court relooks earlier directions and considers lifting ban on transmission lines through Great Indian Bustard GIB habitats. Supreme Court constituted an expert committee to examine feasibility and extent of installing overhead and underground power lines in GIB habitats. In April 2021, Supreme Court had ordered power companies in Rajasthan and Gujarat to make the high-tension power lines underground so that GIB do not get caught in the web. The committee is headed by Director, Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, and is required to submit its report to court on or before July 31st, 2024. Before delving into the news, let's learn more about Great Indian Bustard. Their habitat include arid and semi-arid grasslands, open country with thorn scrub, tall grass interspersed with cultivation. It avoids irrigated areas. Rajasthan has the highest population and it is endemic to Indian subcontinent. The IUCN status mentions them as critically endangered. The important sites include Desert National Park Sanctuary, Rajasthan, Nalia, Gujarat, Varora, Maharashtra, and Bellary, Karnataka. Coming back to the news, here are the reasons for reconsidering the earlier direction. Area is critical for protection of Great Indian Bustard as 90% of its habitat has vanished, with the exception of some areas of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Due to their lack of frontal vision, birds are unable to see overhead power lines in front of them from a distance and are too heavy to move around them in close quarters. Area falling in GIB habitat is also crucial for development of solar sector, and undergrounding power lines are difficult as it will put huge fiscal burden, around Rs 55,000 crore. Also, underground cable would pass through agricultural fields, which is a safety concern as the cable might get punctured due to agricultural activities. Moving on to the next news. United Nations General Assembly UNGA adopted landmark resolution on artificial intelligence. This US-led resolution on the promotion of safe, secure, and trustworthy AI systems will benefit sustainable development for all. It was co-sponsored or backed by more than 120 other member states. This resolution helps to ensure that benefits of AI reach countries from all regions and at all levels of development and focuses on capacity building and bridging digital divides, especially for developing countries. Before delving into the news, let's understand more about United Nations General Assembly. Established in 1945 under the Charter of United Nations, it occupies a central position as a chief deliberative, policy-making and representative organ of the UN. It comprises of all 193 members of the UN and can grant observer status to non-member states. The intergovernmental organizations can also seek observer status in UNGA. Permanent observers may participate in sessions and workings of General Assembly and maintain missions at UN headquarters. Now take a look at the key highlights of resolution. It encourages member states from all regions and countries within their respective roles, including private sector, civil society, and more, to develop and support regulatory approaches related to safe AI systems. It recognizes that data is fundamental to development and operation of AI systems. Human rights and fundamental freedoms must be respected, protected, and promoted throughout the life cycle of AI systems. It also encourages continued efforts by international community to promote inclusive research, mapping, and analysis that benefit all parties on potential applications that AI system can have in development of existing and new and emerging technologies. Lastly, promoting AI systems that advance, protect, and preserve linguistic and cultural diversity. Other steps taken to promote AI include European Union AI Act, Bletchley Declaration for AI, Global Partnership on AI New Delhi Declaration, and more.
Moving ahead in the news, UN World Water Development Report 2024 focused on water for prosperity and peace was released. The report recognizes water's critical role in ensuring peace and prosperity, but finds that there is no conclusive evidence that the next wars will be over water. Let's start by first having a look at the key highlights of the report. If we talk about the current status of water resources, then agriculture accounts for 70% of freshwater withdrawals. Also, Lake Chad has decreased in size by 90% over 60 years. Moreover, while cooperation over shared surface water appears to be gaining momentum, groundwater resources remain grossly neglected. Further, it highlights the challenging aspect of attaining SDG 6, Water for All by 2030. 50% of the world's population experiences severe water scarcity for at least part of the year. Northwest India and North China are among the world's top 3 hotspots of water-related risks to food production. Moreover, it also focuses on prevalence of water prosperity paradox. Developed water resource infrastructure can promote growth and prosperity. However, only the richest countries can afford them. Ahead, if we talk about the key recommendations, then sustainable management of water resources can be ensured by transboundary agreements, increased private investment. Universal access to water will require an annual investment of around $114 billion until 2030. And decoupling water and production in industries. For example, Tata Chemicals cut the use of groundwater by 99.4% within a year through recycling and water management. At last now, let's understand and discuss the linkage of water with peace and prosperity. In terms of water and peace, Water scarcity may lead to an increase in local disputes as being seen in the Sahel region. Also, it can lead to migration that may increase tension in settlement areas. Water scarcity can also contribute to heightened food insecurity. Next, if we talk of water and prosperity, then water helps maintain environmental integrity. In low and lower middle income countries, around 70 to 80% of the jobs are water dependent. Water is critical for inclusivity. Girls and women are the first victims of water scarcity as it undermines their education, economic participation, and safety. Moving ahead in the news, Global Environment Facility funded Financing Agrochemical Reduction and Management or FARM program has been launched. Let's start by first discussing about the key highlights of FARM. It is one of the first such concerted efforts on a global scale. It is a $379 million initiative that will realign financial incentives to prevent the use of harmful inputs in food production and encourage the adoption of low and non-chemical alternatives. The FARM will mainly support government regulation to phase out persistent organic pollutants containing agrochemicals and agri-plastics and adopt better management standards, and strengthening banking, insurance, and investment criteria to improve the availability of effective pest control, production alternatives, and trade in sustainable produce. Its members include India, Ecuador, Kenya, Laos PDR, the Philippines, Uruguay, and Vietnam. It is led by UNEP and implemented by the ADB, UNDP, and UNIDO, with execution carried out in country by FAO. And it has a tenure of 5 years. Now let's discuss and understand the significance of FARM initiative. Nearly 4 billion tons of pesticides and 12 billion kg of agricultural plastics are used every year, which has a harmful impact on health and environment. Highly hazardous pesticides and mismanaged agricultural plastics release toxic POPs, chemicals which do not break down in environment and contaminate air, water, and food. However, currently farmers have little incentive to adopt better practices as these chemicals are generally cheaper than sustainable alternatives. At last now, let's also talk about the Global Environment Facility. Its headquarters are in Washington, D.C. and it was established during the 1992 Rio Earth Summit. Global Environment Facility is a unique partnership of 18 agencies, including UN agencies, multilateral development banks, national entities, and international NGOs working with member countries to address the world's most challenging environmental issues. It serves as financial mechanism for 5 international environmental conventions. These are Minamata Convention on Mercury, Stockholm Convention on POPs, UN Convention on Biological Diversity, UN Convention to Combat Desertification, and UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. The GEF's trustee is the World Bank, and it encompasses more than 180 countries, including India. The personality news for today is Sher Singh Shah. Sher Singh Shah was a freedom fighter born in Rudraprayag district of Uttarakhand. His father's name is Padam Singh Shah and his mother's name is Devki Devi. Talking about his contributions, he secretly spread awareness about the freedom struggle. He took an oath in the Lalita Mai temple in Nala, declaring that he would serve his country for his entire life. He led Quit India movement from Kedar Ghati in Uttarakhand, and he also fought against the British regime at Kasargod and Barmawadi. The government of India honoured him with a copper plate in 1972. He exhibited the values of courage, patriotism, and perseverance.
As we conclude today's main news, let's take a look at some quick updates. Election Commission has notified postal ballots for essential service workers. Postal ballots or vote by post allow eligible voters to exercise their franchise when they are unable to cast their votes in person. Conference of Parties Presidency Slovakia announced to cut emissions in line with limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. It is aligned with nationally determined contributions under Paris Agreement by early 2025. UAE, Azerbaijan, and Brazil are the members of Slovakia who are presidencies of COP28, 29, and 30 respectively. 4th edition of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Startup Forum was organized in New Delhi. The initiative focused on broadening startup interactions among the SCO member states, fostering an environment conducive to innovation, promoting job creation, and more. Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, IRDAI, approved the setting up of Bima Sugam. It is formed under Section 8 of Companies Act 2013 as a not-for-profit company. It is an insurance e-market with open standards and an interoperable platform. Earth Hour is set to be observed on March 23rd from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. IST. Earth Hour was famously started as a lights out event in Sydney, Australia in 2007. It is a global event observed annually on the last Saturday of March. Supreme Court struck down notification exempting green clearance for extraction of ordinary earth for linear projects like laying of roads and pipelines. Exemption notification was issued by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in 2020. A black panther was recently spotted in Munnar, Kerala. Black panthers are not a distinct species, but melanistic members of the genus Panthera, lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars and snow leopards. Genetic mutation is the cause of such melanin. European Space Agency's astrometry satellite Gaia have discovered the earliest building blocks of Milky Way, named them Shiva and Shakti. They appear to be remnants of two galaxies that emerged between 12 and 13 billion years ago to form Milky Way. Before we go, it's time to put your knowledge to the test in today's segment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of News Today. To get the answers to today's quiz and to download the PDF of News Today, make sure to check out the links in the description below.